College football was absolutely nuts this week. We had a lot of close finishes, many unbeaten teams, no longer unbeaten, and I'm going to rant about that when we get to my top 25. But what's crackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know so. Go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below where we have that nice, beautiful football. The Discord, stick with me to the end. I'm going to give you my top 5 Heisman contenders, but let's go ahead and get to the top 25, starting with my fallers from my previous rankings last week, starting with Kansas State. It was a bad loss to Oklahoma State. This is an Oklahoma State that has really struggled on offense throughout the season, and they struggle no longer. Who would have thought? Kansas State, they lost some key players to the draft last year, and the offense just couldn't move the football. They lose 29-21. So yes, they are officially out of my top 25, as is Texas A&M, who just got in at 25. And I mean, that Alabama game was going to go one of two ways. A lot of people were thinking maybe they could do this. Maybe Jimbo could put it together. He's no longer the play caller. But now a lot of poor time management cost the Aggies in the second half. They end up losing to Bama 26-20, and now they are a 2-loss team. Though they do get a shot at redemption this weekend, as they'll be taking on Tennessee, which we'll talk about them in a little later. But let's go ahead and get to my teams that just missed it, starting with UCLA with a huge win. Washington State on the road. This is probably their toughest test on the road, and they come up short. That defense just smothered Wazoo and Cameron Ward, and they did enough, man. Good on UCLA, man. Really, really good on them. The schedule will get tougher. I believe they get Oregon State they have to travel to Oregon State, so we'll see how that goes. Oregon State's been looking really, really good since taste and defeat, but also I have to show love some Kansas on here. Y'all know I got a little soft spot in my heart for Kansas. Jason Beam, he really wasn't asked to do much. The running game just kind of smacked Central Florida, but this was a really good in-conference win, 51-22. Good on them. They're trending up after a tough loss the previous week against Texas. Keep in mind, they're still missing their quarterback at Jalen Daniels. And then I have Air Force. That's right, Air Force. Right now, on the outside looking in, you could say the same right now for Wyoming. Wyoming had a big win. They shocked Fresno State, just smothered Fresno State defensively through the first half, and they were able to hold on. This is a Wyoming team that their defense, don't sleep on them. They'll be taking on Air Force, so good chance one of these two squads maybe sneaks into my top 25 next week. Well, I feel like Air Force still being undefeated. Wyoming does have the one loss, but be on the lookout for that. Air Force did have to bye this past week. Wisconsin, they remain here. They just smothered Rutgers in the first half, and they end up beating them 24-13. The run game's looking behind Braylon Allen. Who would have thought? You got one of the best run backs in the land. Yeah, lean on him a little bit. Lean on him. And then Maryland, I feel bad just dropping them out altogether. A lot was stacked against them. They were going against a really good Ohio State defense in the Horseshoe. They were able to compete in that first half, but things just got out of hand. Tualea Tagovailoa just couldn't get it done in the second half, as that team just kind of, again, Ohio State just kind of smothered them. But let's go ahead, get to my top 25 and get to the team I want to rant about. My freaking Miami Hurricanes. I'm keeping them in the top 25 here because they got to travel to Chapel Hill, take on North Carolina, who we'll talk about later on the list, but Miami should still be undefeated. Fire Mario Cristobal. Riddle me this. How does Cristobal, I'm going to leave Oregon, who's just been this powerhouse squad for the last, decade, especially over Miami. I get it. He's going back to his old alma mater. But how does Oregon's coach choose to go to greener pastures and they trade up to Dan Lannon? That's right, I'm saying it. Dan Lannon is a better coach. I was saying it at the time. How do we get Cristobal when Dan Lannon was available? I've been saying this the whole time. And then Cristobal comes into this game and legitimately feels like he committed career suicide. You just have to knee the ball. You're already struggling against Georgia Tech, your first ACC game. Not a good look. You're doing this at home. And I think there's a case to be made. Teams coming off buys haven't looked all too hot this season. We'll get to a couple others, but teams coming off buys haven't looked good this season. But your first ACC game at home, you're struggling against Georgia Tech, who just got mollywopped at home by Bowling Green, by the way. And all you gotta do is knee the football, get out of there, and be like, okay, well, we got a big game coming up. Maybe we got caught looking ahead. But no, you decide to run the football. He fumbles the football. I get it. His elbow was down. He should have been called down. It didn't go that way. Is what it is. Still a terrible play call. Knee the stinking ball. You fumble. You give Georgia Tech a shot. If you knee the football, I mean, yeah, Georgia Tech might have one shot, but it's near impossible. Instead, 3 plays, 74 yards. Great, 2 plays. Their first play was an incompletion. 2 plays, 74 yards. Ends on a 44-yard touchdown. And then y'all play some backyard football with 12 laterals hoping to get the job, get a win. Nah, you screwed up. Get Cristobal out of here, dude. I'm done. I'm a Hurricanes fan. I've been waiting since 2003 for us to return to some form of dominance, being competitive, being competitors. But no, we suck. We have so much talent in the world. And hey, take your shots at Tyler Van Dyke. The dude played a decent game. He played a decent game. He had 3 turnovers, yeah, but the dude was put in it. He was making big plays throughout this game. And yeah, it may not have been his prettiest game, but he ain't why we lost. It comes down to that just stupid decision. You literally gave Georgia Tech this game. Fire him. Anywho, Kentucky's here. Kentucky coming off the big win. I say big win. They smashed Florida. They had to travel to Athens. It's already looking tough. And they get smacked by Georgia. People are like, oh, this Georgia team, they're vulnerable. Auburn contended with this squad last week. And then Georgia was like, oh, wait, no, that's right. We're the best team in the country. And they just smack Kentucky 51-13. Hey, Kentucky, maybe better weeks are ahead. You're going to be getting a Mizzou team who's coming off a tough loss against LSU. So, and you get that game at home, so maybe they get a chance to kind of redeem themselves in that regard. Tennessee, I have here, they're coming off the bye, which is probably not a good look. Again, teams coming off byes have not been good this year, and we'll talk about it with a few other teams later. But they get Texas A&M, an A&M team that's reeling off that loss. So, hopefully Tennessee. I know Alex from Hail Mary Sports. He really thinks Tennessee can be this powerhouse. They can maybe be he thinks they're the second or third best team in the SEC. I got my questions, but I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Tulane, they remain here at 22. They're coming off a bye now. They get a tough, scrappy Memphis team this week, so be on the look for that. And then Notre Dame here at 21, another tough loss. They had the tough loss at South Bend against Ohio State. They were able to pull out a close victory against Duke. And then they get smacked by this Louisville team who I've been saying for a week or two now. This team could create a lot of fireworks. Maybe the prior week they got caught looking ahead to Notre Dame and had a close one against NC State. But to be fair, that NC State team played Notre Dame close for 3 quarters. Louisville was like, nah, we legit, we for real. The defense came alive. The offense all kinds of fireworks. And by I mean the defense came alive. They were creating turnovers galore. I think they had like 3 picks on touchdown Jesus. But yeah, no, man. Notre Dame, tough loss here. They get now USC. I don't want to say they're reeling, but fortunately, this is a USC team that hasn't necessarily looked good since their bye, and we'll talk about them a little bit later on. But we'll see. Mizzou here at 20, tough loss. They were trying to come back at the end. It was like 42-39, trying to get field goal position. And then a game-ending pick 6 causes them to lose at home. But hey, this is an offense with a ton of firepower. Luther Burden is legit. We'll talk about him in the 2025 NFL draft class. But tough loss for Mizzou. Utah had the bye this week, and this is the only team I feel good about maybe coming off of their bye, because hopefully they'll finally get Cam Rising, Brant Kuithe back offensively, because this defense is really good. It's just offensively, they just get stagnant. They get Cal next week. Then speaking of Cal, Oregon State smacked Cal. Yeah, okay, they gave up some yards on defense. They win this game 52-40. They were in the driver's seat for much of this game. I think their defense was missing like 2 big contributors in the first half because of a targeting call the prior week. But DJU throws 5 tutties. Ohio State, they're looking hot right now. Who ain't looking hot is Cam Ward and that offense for Wazoo. They came in an underdog in this game. I couldn't believe it until I saw it. The offense got smothered, dude. They had a chance to potentially tie it, but they get stopped on 4th and goal to end the game. The undefeated season, it's dead. This was a team that they were coming off big wins, but those wins were at home. They had to travel to UCLA. They were coming off the bye last week. So was the Hurricanes. I hate you, Mario Cristobal. But yeah, tough loss for Wazoo. They get who do they got next week? I gotta be just missing it. Oh, they got Arizona, a plucky Arizona team at that apparently can travel well. I have Duke still sitting here at 16. They're on the bye, but again, don't know how long Riley Leonard will be out with the knee sprain. Or is it a high ankle sprain? It's a sprain on his leg. It does sound like he'll probably be out longer than that, but they do get, I believe they get NC State, scrappy NC State team, and they ended Marshall's undefeated season this past weekend. So, yeah, man, I don't know if Riley Leonard will be good to go, but we will see. At 15, I have LSU. They rallied back. They beat Missouri, or they beat Mizzou 49-39. The defense is still bad, but Jaden Daniels is a freaking stud. Louisville, huge win here against Notre Dame. Again, this is an offense that creates a lot of fireworks. Jamari Thrash, stellar. I can't remember who's the halfback there for Louisville. It's like something Jordan, right? Yeah, he's got like over 650 yards on the season. He blew up in this Notre Dame game. But yeah, don't look now. Louisville's undefeated. They travel to 1-win Pittsburgh next week. And then I got Ole Miss. It wasn't pretty for Ole Miss. Arkansas took the lead at the beginning of the 4th quarter, but they scored 10 straight points to seal the deal, winning 27-20 against Arkansas. Again, Arkansas, they're like the best 4-loss team in football right now. It sucks. I feel like that team's so much better than their record, but they just haven't come to play in some games. Then I got North Carolina. I believe they were coming off the bye, but they looked good. They steamrolled stinking Syracuse, and now they'll get Miami at home. And you know what? Drake May, Mac Brown, put Miami to rest, please. I hate that occasionally, we get these cupcake games, easy early schedule, and then they just let me down. Also, side note, Tez Walker, now eligible to play. He had a solid game here. I think he had like 7 receptions for like 80 yards or something. But yeah, good to see that. Good to see that. Alabama, they remain here at 11 for me. They stuck around in that Texas A&M game, and then they just dominated the second half, winning 26-20. Going to the top 10, Texas, surprised, shocked. They lost at the end there to Dylan Gabriel and company in the Red River Showdown. Should be shootout, but Red River Showdown, 34-30. You had just some poor defense played by Texas at points. They got stopped on 4th and goal. So that cost them some points. And Quinn Ewers had 3 turnovers. 1 interception was really bad. The other one, benefit of the doubt, put it on the money for Jatavion Sanders, and Sanders got smacked. Ball went in the air. And then he had the fumble where he got tackled. He's a quarterback run with the football, man. I just expect those guys typically to fumble anyway. USC, they get dropped. They were initially my number 6 team. They're here at number 9. This team has not looked dominant since the bye. They had a close game against Arizona State. You had the just defensive no-show in the like second half against Colorado last week. And then Arizona took them to triple overtime. Like, first off, like, shouldn't have gone to overtime. You had the bad snap by the long snapper for the potential game-winning field goal for USC. They didn't get it. And this is a scrappy Arizona team. Don't get me wrong. They played Washington real close the prior week. And this week, they literally pushed them into overtime. Like, Kalen Bullock's kind of saved the game on a 2-point conversion that should have went. Was it a 2-point conversion? I think it was a 2-point conversion. Yes, it was. It was the 2-point conversion that would have won the game. But golly, man, get it together. This defense ain't playing well for USC. And Caleb Williams is literally backpacking the team right now. He legitimately is. I think he had 4 total touchdowns in this game. Big win. Oklahoma, they scored the go-ahead touchdown with 15 seconds left. That was our watch-along game. They beat Texas. Huge win. Dylan Gabriel looked fantastic. Love to see it. Now Oklahoma is in the driver's seat of the Big 12. Washington, they had a bye. Oregon, they had a bye, which we'll talk about Oregon in a sec, but that's who they face next week. That's going to be our watch-along game. Oregon versus Washington. I've been saying teams haven't looked the same coming off their byes. Well, both those teams are coming off their byes. We'll see how they do. Penn State had a bye this week, so they remain at 6. They get, who do they get next week? They get UMass. So UMass played Toledo close for like a half. So, like, yeah, should be an easy win. So probably one of the better teams to get coming out of a bye. Oregon now steps up to number 5 for me. They will get Washington. So we'll kind of get this. Okay, who's the top dog in the Pac-12? It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. Ohio State, the defense came up huge. Maryland kept in the game through the first half. I think it was 10-10 through the first half. This game got to like 20-17, and then Ohio State just ran away with it, winning 34-17. Florida State, they looked like they were in a cupcake game against Virginia Tech. They were up 22-0, and then 17 unanswered points. Suddenly, it's a 5-point game, but Trey Benson, huge game. He was too much. Or Virginia Tech, they win 39-17. Good on them. Michigan smacked Minnesota. 2 pick-sixes in the game. They win 52-10. They cover. Hey, last 2 weeks, I've been saying good teams win, great teams cover, and they've been a great team the last 2 weeks. In Georgia, after not covering against Auburn, even when Broshmo himself bets it down to 13.5 from 14.5, they look at that 14.5 number that Kentucky had, and they were like, nah, we got that. They win. They smack Kentucky 51-13 in Athens. So there's my top 25. Let's go ahead and get to my top 5 Heisman contenders. But first, listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only 30 bucks by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet. So send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals. And guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase and it's a great way to support the channel. I got Shedeur Sanders at number 5 on my Heisman Trophy watch. He had the late game heroics, so to speak, to beat a scrappy Arizona State team. 2 total touchdowns, so solid. I feel like this number 5 on the list is kind of wide open. You could put Drake May here. You could put Bo Nix here. Oh no, I'm giving you clues of who's not on the list. But let's go ahead to number 4. With it being Jaden Daniels. This dude's playing lights out, even though the defense is decided not to show up for LSU. He had over 250 yards passing, he had 130 yards rushing, 4 total tutties. Yeah, talk about this guy in the Heisman. He is keeping LSU in games. And then at number 3, I got Dylan Gabriel. Gotta mention this dude. Really do. I think he has 16 passing touchdowns on the season. I think he's got 5 more on the ground. He had 2 total touchdowns in this game with over 280 yards rushing, with over 280 yards passing, with 110 yards running. Dude, he was huge in that game against Texas. A very star-making performance. And number 2, Michael Penix. He was off for the week, so I'm not gonna blame him. Hey, take your week off, boo-boo. You got a big week against Oregon here. But he's thrown for almost 2,000 yards on the season with 16 tutties. And again, my number 1 and my number 2 have not moved. Caleb Williams is number 1 here. He is literally backpacking the Trojans the last 3 weeks since their bye. 4 total touchdowns. Good on him. I think he is kind of the clear leader right now in terms of the Heisman contender. I think it's kind of his award to lose. I know some people would make a case for Michael Penix, but doesn't stinking Caleb Williams have the most total touchdowns in college football right now? You kind of got to give it to him right now at this point. But that's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing, and as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.